Hello, everybody. My name is Sam Taylor, and I'm joined today, this evening, with Robert Bruce. Myself, I am a session leader, online facilitator, and advise on policy-related matters for the CPA Western School of Business.
And I'm an online facilitator as well as session leader.
Today, Rob and I are going to be talking to you about plagiarism, specifically frequently asked questions or instances where candidates have encountered either on purpose or accidentally items which resulted in plagiarism charges. I would say understanding the differences between the ebook and the Income Tax Act and the handbook. So if you'll allow me, I'm just going to share my screen for one moment.
Absolutely.
So right here on my screen, I have an example of the Income Tax Act. How did I get there? So when I'm at home, I can look through my different resources. And for example, your list may or may not look the same or different as mine, just depending on what you have access to through your enrollment. For example, the CPA Canada Learning ebook is right here. And then underneath it, we have our CPA Canada Standards and Guidance Collection, the exam reference. A little bit further, and we have the Federal Income Tax Collection. So when we look here, this is our CPA handbook. This is where you have all the standards for IFRS and ASPE, as well as some assurance guidance and public sector accounting. And if we go back, right above it, the CPA Canada Learning ebook, that is our ebook. That is where we have each one of the volumes, financial reporting, management accounting, for each of the technical competencies, and then one ebook for the enabling competencies. So why is this so significant? Well, first of all, you are able to use any of these in your assignments as long as you cite them appropriately. And presently, for online virtual examinations, you are only permitted to reference your CPA handbook, which is the second one here, and the Income Tax Act, which is right down here under taxation. You are not able to copy paste or paraphrase anything from the learning ebooks. That's something very important to differentiate. So understanding what you can and cannot use, and then exactly how to cite them will be two main ways that you can avoid an accidental plagiarism charge. Rob?
Excellent. So basically what you're saying is the CPA handbook and the Income Tax Act are the standards and the laws, which we're allowed to copy and paste from, but the ebooks are somebody's interpretation of that, and that's somebody else's words and author's words, and we can't copy and paste that unless it's cited appropriately, except in the exam situation. We shouldn't copy and paste at all.
Exactly.
How would I cite my sources? Can you give me an example of how you would cite your sources in an assignment or an exam?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the best way would, again, for me to share my screen and show you a clip of some options that we could use. And because I'm using it as a study tool, I want to know, where did this exactly come from? It came from IFRS 15, and then I put in quotes that is not my own words. And that is sufficient because you're saying it's, I might even say per CPA handbook, IFRS 15, or it's somewhat redundant, but either or, per IFRS 15, and then you quote. So that's fabulous. If you just said per IFRS and put quotes, that would be sufficient as well. But for a study tool in your integrated problem, I would suggest putting in this section. That said, when we go to your practice case, which are meant to be written in time-constrained items, if you put per IFRS and then paraphrase this, you paraphrase the standards, you wouldn't have to actually use quotations because they're going to be in your own words. And saying per IFRS really demonstrates the fact that you understand that this is the standard and this is what that paraphrase relates to. It also helps communicate your exam writing competence to your exam evaluator, because you're demonstrating that you realize the standards in play here are IFRS or are ASPE or are the Income Tax Act.
And also in the exams, we're playing a role and we have to respond to a client. So we wouldn't just copy and paste the handbook and give it to the client. We would turn it into our own words. So that's excellent. Thank you.
You are say doing something for the ebook within an integrated problem, perhaps you would do the full per CPA Canada Learning ebook financial reporting, chapter 1, paragraph 3.1, and you would either put it into quotes or you could paraphrase it, either or, and that would be sufficient. However, if you said something like per Canada Learning ebook and you didn't put right there what the exact source was, you can either quote or paraphrase it, but then you'd want to include a reference list at the bottom, and you would want to kind of put the exact source in. And in here, I would also put a superscript to denote that this is in fact your first footnote, and then maybe we put here that this is number 1 in your reference list. So again, the whole point is that it's up to you. The onus is on you as the candidate to demonstrate that you understand and you are communicating effectively. These are not the generation. You did not create these words. You, in fact, paraphrased or copy pasted an exact source. And as always, make sure you put your own analysis on. So just because you copy paste from a handbook or paraphrase something, you still have to say, why is this significant to your user? You want to demonstrate that competency. You don't get any marks for just copy pasting. We need your analysis. Like Rob said, who is your user and what are you trying to communicate to them?